and the knowledge base that they bring about this society, because many of us may not have grown up here. And many, if not most of them, if not all of them, have. And so they know some nuances, some things about this society that we may not know. They know the new technologies. They know certain kinds of mentalities because that's who they are. They're not immigrants. They are here. You were born here. And we have to take advantage of our young in this mission of Dawah in meaningful kinds of ways. Dawah is not an old man or an old woman's exclusive area of work. As a matter of fact, we should have more of our young people actively engaged in this work of Dawah, and let some of us older people sort of sit back and say, yeah, you know, I think, why don't you try over here and come back and tell me how it was. Give some of the older people a chance to pass on some of this work of Dawah. Yes?
Yes, brother, just tying into your comment about doing more.
Yes.
And a comment you made yesterday, you based a couple of points on the study about the 70% loss ratio, so to speak. What could be done to increase the retention, prevent the loss? I mean, 100% is not possible, I'm sure.
Right.
What could be expected? What would be more reasonable? And by the way, what's the name of the study? Where can I find it?
If you leave me an email address and I'll get it to you. Maybe if you Google in Ilyas by Yunus, just by name, just Google that in and it comes up. But leave me your email address, and I have to go home and I'll look at it and I'll get it to you. One of the problems that I know from talking to new shahadas, who you see out in the mall, you see them somewhere and they're no longer around the mosque, and they say, well, I went back to the church and this kind of thing. There are two, it seems to be, to me, in my personal experience, two major reasons for this. One is that after all of the takbirs, after they have taken shahada, they fall into this category of, you know, almost, we're glad that you're here, but just go for it. Take care of yourself. We shook your hand, we embraced you, we gave takbirs, we suggested all these names to you, but now it's on you. You know, everybody's got the struggle. Islam is about struggle. So now you begin your struggle. So many of the new shahadas do not feel that we embrace them, that we are really beyond their shahada proud and happy and feel privileged that Allah has guided them to this Islam and to this Islamic work. The second part of that is that, and one thing that's even mentioned in that study and in another study, is that what happens with many new shahadas, depending on their family background, many of these people come into Islam and their families cut them off. They cut them off. I have a friend of mine whose father was a multimillionaire. I think he was originally from Rochester, New York, but I met him in D.C. And his father told him, his father was Lebanese American, and his dad told him that if you follow through with your decision to become Muslim, you're no longer my son. You can forget being a part of any kind of inheritance, any family events. Just forget that you have a family. And he had a very, he said, strong and dominating family. You forget you have a family. You no longer have a family, because I will not allow your mother, your sisters, anybody else to have anything to do with you if you continue with this decision. Now that was extreme. And his father carried on with this until he got married and the grandchildren came on the set. And it's something about the father, and they were granddaughters. It's something, I got to see my granddaughters. Now my son's a fool, but I got to see my granddaughters, and that's when the barriers started breaking down. But it took 25 years in order for this to happen. That story, in different versions, can be repeated millions of times in America with people who embrace Islam. To one degree or another, their families may cut them off. And when they cut them off, sometimes that means, depending on their age, that may mean that they don't have anywhere to stay. They're out there on their own. So they become homeless overnight. They shahada and everybody, takbir, we're so happy. But then the next day or the next week, they're homeless. So there's certain social needs that all of our masjids and centers need to be prepared to help address that whole person, not just his spiritual self. We can't just say, give me your shahada and that part of you, but all those other issues that you're coming with, I don't want to have to deal with. Many Muslim sisters end up leaving Islam because of, that's been told to me. They leave because they feel that I want to dress in a certain way. I don't right now have the money to go to these stores and buy these clothing, and the sisters don't act like they care whether or not I have a khimar to put on my head or not. They're not assisting me in that kind of way. And I know I'm going to get in trouble saying this, but I have a wife and I have nothing but daughters, I have granddaughters, I have no sons. But women are some different creatures. They're different, right? I mean, I shouldn't get an argument about that. I mean, that's not saying one way or the other. They're different. They ain't like us. We ain't like them. But when you start not having the clothing that is required, that we're telling them that this is a minimum requirement for you to come outside of your house, and that's not in your wardrobe. And the people who are telling you this are not at the same time saying, I have all of these things in my closet I don't need, or let me go and purchase this for you, let me see what other sisters have, and let's do something about it. We found, and just to give a practical example, in the mosque, in community mosque in Winston-Salem, we established, the sisters established what's called My Sister's Closet. My Sister's Closet. And we have all kinds of things hanging on racks for new sisters or sisters who just need other clothing that they can't afford, that don't allow that to be a reason why you leave Islam. Because we're talking about people at a very delicate point in their lives. A very, very delicate point. So I think this whole issue, one very important thing is assigning someone to that brother, to that sister, to walk them through this process